Hello there, all you amazing people. I tried to make this video like 10,000 different ways, any shape, form, and whatever. And I think this is the final one, may not be, but I want to address the Windows 10 end of life and the misconceptions, or not misconceptions, but how batshit crazy people are about Windows 11. It's a little bit of a fun thing, and I do have good old Edge up here. Probably going to paint and do like a pirate software kind of thing. People have to understand, before I go into it, watch the video to the end before you comment down below. If you then feel inclined, like, subscribe, and stuff like that. But this whole, like, Windows 10 is going end of life, and blah blah blah, Windows 11 is the worst OS on earth. I've been dealing with Windows, Linux, Macs since the mid-90s. When I was a teenager, I helped people, actually a young teenager. I think it was like 12 or 11 years old when I started doing my first IT jobs for people. And I got paid in hardware. I had like hardware for thousands of dollars at home at one point. When I was like 13 years old at that point. But anyway, ever since then, ever since 2000, every year is the year of the Linux desktop. Every current version of Windows is the most hated version, and the previous version is the most loved version. Besides Windows 8 and Windows Vista. And if you're telling me that people don't know how to get rid of Windows if they don't like it, I can tell you that in the Windows Vista and Windows 8 days, I made a lot of money doing exactly that. For people that had no idea. If you didn't like hold their hand and push the start button so they knew where they were on their laptop or computer, they would not know how to turn on a computer. So all these excuses that the world makes that, it's people don't know. If people are disenfranchised or don't like a product, they know how to get rid of it, or they know how to find a solution. And I tried pushing Linux on it back then. They didn't want it then. I tried to push Linux on people today. When I say push, explain there's an option. They don't want it today, okay? I've been advocating for Linux on the desktop for over 25 years. And let me tell you this. They didn't want it back then, they don't want it today. Even with all the gaming and stuff like that, that's great on Linux. There's a lot of great things with Linux. But the vast majority of consumers don't want it. If you want me to make a video about this, look at my other channel, I can link it to you. I have plenty of videos to explain it, because this is somewhat of a non-Linux channel, because the Linux community is a little bit batshit crazy and they will go after me for saying this. But I need to preface this because we're talking about good old Windows 10 and 11. I don't know why the good old ball is running there, but anyway. So always remember this. This has been almost as certain as we can predict that the sun will go up and down in a 24-hour cycle. Well, not that a day is 24 hours, let me put it that way. This has been the case. The current version of Windows is like the plague. We don't like it. It has STDs. It's been around, it's been touching all the boys and all the girls. Do not engage with it. It's the most devious out there. It takes the most telemetry, the most data, and stuff like that. When Windows 10 was around, you can find plenty of videos on YouTube. If you go onto the good old Google and you Google, you go onto YouTube, good old YouTube here, you can find plenty of videos that said the exact same thing about Windows 10. And so forth and so forth. Then Windows 11 comes out and people are like, oh, Windows 10 was not that bad. Windows 10 didn't do that much bad thing. And there are videos right now, every time there is a major H update, as they call it. So H1, 2, etc., etc. Intrusiveness, taking away features, locking down this, higher requirements. And they did the same with Windows 10. They've done this with every Windows. Back in the day, they did it on forums. The new update to this new Windows is going to take away X, Y, and Z, break X, Y, and Z, and you will hate it. A lot of you guys and girls and bebops and bop-bops, what you may not know this, because the crowd on YouTube, typically, like if I look at my analytics, even on my Linux channel, I have like a higher, or more mature crowd, so late 20s to 30s, early 40s. But most of the people that are still watching my content is in the mid-20s to mid-30s. So, and I have like a more mature crowd on all my channels that I have. You cannot remember this, because when all this happened, you were a teenager. You didn't even, you probably didn't even have access to YouTube. Or YouTube was an emerging technology when you were a kid. and you only have like 5-10 years on YouTube at most if you're lucky. I actually have to be around, when YouTube got invented and been there from the beginning, not as a creator but as a viewer. And I've been, nestling in forums and stuff like that before that. So it can be hard for you to see this pattern here with like releases and YouTube, and they used to call them expansion packs, patches, and stuff like that. Now they just call updates. So it may be hard for you to understand the history of it. And to understand something, you have to understand the history. The same with the year after Linux desktop. If you've been told for 25 years that every time we go into a new year, it's the year after Linux desktop, and they will bullshit you from high heavens about why, and you look at the statistics, and it's not even 5% of the desktop market. If anything to indicate the year after Linux of something, it should be how many people are using. How many people are adopting it. That should tell you when something is popular. This is going on ever since YouTube started, and a lot of people love to live in the frightened world. They love to be in the know. They want to know something other people don't know. So a lot of YouTubers over here, they will make videos fear-mongering on you. Oh, you can't use Windows 11 or Windows 10 anymore. You can't use Windows 7 anymore. When Windows 7 went out at end of life, there was everybody's going over to Mac and Linux. They didn't. It would be the worst thing on earth because a lot of people using Windows 7, they set the same Windows XP. Nothing happened, okay? Nothing happened. And nothing will happen on February the 25th, I think is when it goes end of life. Even with the more restrictions that they're putting on Windows 11, that you need better and better hardware, it's not going to matter because people just live with it. I have a really good example of this, like buying new hardware. How old is your phone? Most phones are 2 to 3 years old. Then people update. Android used to only support OS updates for 1 to 2 years, and then security updates for 2 to 4 years. If you were lucky, it was 2 to 4 years. Normally, it would be 3 years. So you got 2 OS updates and 1 extra year of security updates. And your phone, if you're having a phone that's under that terminology, if you have a phone that's more than 5 years old or 6 years old, it may be the most unsecure thing you have on your own person right now. And you use that for banking, logging into X, Y, and Z, and blah, blah, blah. It has not gotten a security update since 2000. You have some of those phones that work. Luckily enough, they don't have a carrier on it, and they're only on the local network. But nobody really bitches and moans about this on mobile phones. And a mobile phone nowadays, if you want a decent one, costs more than a decent used laptop that can still support Windows 11. You can get a really, really decent laptop for like $350 that can run Windows 11. You can't get a really decent phone that's not logged into a carrier for that amount of money. So it's like you're bitching and moaning about Windows, stop supporting for hardware with CPM and Secure Boot that's over 10 years old. I get it, it's a lot of laptops, it's a lot of computers, but you want security, right? You want to be more, and that's what those things do, they give more security. Can they be misused? Everything can be misused. VPNs can be misused. When you're using a VPN and think you're so secure because you're spoofing your location, you are in the mercy of a third-party person or company. And if they want to fuck you over, they can fuck you over with a switch of a fucking switch. Just because you're behind a firewall or you're using a Raspberry Pi hole, that don't mean you're that much more secure, because what if they introduce something into that software that you don't catch? Or even if it's open source, there's a lot of things that open source people don't catch. There's open source software that have massive backdoors in them. Not because they were built into it, but because of security exploits that you can use to get a backdoor or open a backdoor that's been there for over 10 years. Over 10 years. Some of them even longer than 15 years. That they just catch today because some random person found it. Who knows how many people have known about that and used that? And this goes to the same for proprietary software. This is not just an open source software problem. It's like software in general. We don't know what's going on because we don't sit and read every fucking line of code. And we are not coding geniuses that can decipher each line of code and say like, aha, there's a buffer overflow, there's a bit that's getting hole in memory that we can use to then get into the system if we do it the right way. It takes a lot of effort and skill to figure that one out. So it's not just an open source thing with stuff like that, but it happens in all software. And then people's like, oh, you need a Microsoft account. And they don't like that. Here's the thing. If you want to really fully utilize Red Hat, you need a Red Hat account. Get started, log in, file success. Can you use it? Are there distributions out there that don't require a Red Hat account? Yeah, but to get the most out of Red Hat services, you need a Red Hat account. And they take data and telemetry. Ubuntu, to get the most out of Ubuntu services, you need an account. And they take data and telemetry. Every Linux distribution takes data and telemetry. That's how updating works. You have data on your computer, you send it to a server, you communicate with each other. It tells your package manager that it has newer data packages. It sends those packages to a computer. All of that cannot happen without it knowing your IP address, what's going on with your computer, and probably for that's the package manager probably for root access. But that communication cannot be done without it knowing that you're running the same distribution, that have access to those repositories. That's telemetry. What you have on it, telemetry. And then you're sending a data mindfully. Benign data, but you are sending data to it and saying, please update me, big boy. And then it's like, oh yeah, I see you need an update, here's the packages. That is, to some degree, well, it is data telemetry and data collection. It's just not being stored, hopefully. Some Linux distributions repository platforms, so not the repository themselves, but where they are hosted, they may keep track of your IP address to see how many unique users they're getting on their services each day. So they may, bill you more or something like that, or see, they track how many users are connected, so they know if they have to scale up and down and stuff like that. So yes, the repos on the servers that hold the ISO or the package managers in of itself may not track you, but the host probably does. Slack, if you are in anything with IT, especially development, you probably are using Slack. It takes more data telemetry than Windows. Discord, nothing you put on Discord is removable. They had a court case where, I won't go into this because people don't like it, but you can kind of get what kind of court case that it may be. And because of that, they have made a rule that everything that's on YouTube on Discord is never removed, because then the government can go in and say, we want information about this account. Even if you fucking make a random account, they can still figure out who you are and what you've done and what type that web comes from. There's a lot of metadata that points to you as a person, no matter how many VPNs and random throwaway Proton accounts that you make. Just so you know. Maybe a video in of itself. If you are on, I don't have my phone on me, but if you're on your phone, you can go into, I think it's the library or something like that, and you can click media. You can see everything anyone has posted to you of pictures. So if there's a random out there that'll send you titty pictures, it's in there. It may be blurred out for sensitive content, but it's in there, even if it's 10 years old, or how, I don't even know how old is Discord. Yeah, 15 years, so let's say the last 5 years or something, like, or more than that. I actually found pictures from 2017 by doing that. It's in there. And you can request them to get the data from conversations you had in there. Imagine that, peeps. Imagine that, peeps. That's just Discord. Facebook, same fucking deal. YouTube, same fucking deal. If a YouTuber sit and tells you and talk to you about telemetry and data collection, anything that has to do with Google does this. Google is the worst company on earth when it comes to data collection and telemetry. Nobody, well, there's a few, but most of the people that are anti-Microsoft don't make massive amount of videos about Google taking your data, know more about you than you fucking do yourself or your doctor do. And no, it's fine if Google are probing you without lube. Don't let Microsoft do it. It's okay if Google do it and Android do it. Android is like, from an operating system standpoint, Android is the most intrusive OS for your privacy that has ever existed. Android, that a lot of people call a Linux OS. Android, the most intrusive operating system you can ever run. But you don't hear the anti-Microsoft people talk much about that, But again, I also find it highly hypocritical. People on good old YouTube is sitting here and doing stuff like this here. Microsoft just killed millions of PCs and whatnot. It's just happened to come up. That's a new song for Black Label Society. I need to watch that one. But doing this on Google, if you have a YouTube channel, your whole business model, okay? My business model, if I want to make this into a business by being a YouTuber, is knowing my viewers' behavior, telemetry, data collection. What videos to make, when to post them, what thumbnails works and what don't. YouTube is built on user data. Channels are built on user data. How many people are sitting and talking about this on YouTube? But Microsoft, you need a Microsoft account. Ooh, bad Microsoft. And here's the thing. Here's the thing, people. I get it. It's irritating. I wish we didn't have to have these accounts, but they do make a lot of sense in a lot of instances. Like, you can see your history on YouTube. Like, here, you know, it's curating the feed from what I've been watching the latest and what have you not. You can kind of see what my view... you know, there's a lot of military in here. There's a lot of self-improvement. There's a lot of technology. There's... you know, financial audits that I'm actually a member of, and then I deleted it because of what I stopped being. I'm a member for a month because I watch everything I need to watch in there. But I may subscribe back to them. I don't know. User data. This site cannot exist. These channels cannot exist without you giving them a shit ton of data and telemetry. Just can't. And to do it properly, for you to engage properly, you need an account. What do you do here when you just make, if you don't want, you know, your real name out there, or your real address, or your real email being easily found, you make a Proton mail or some random throwaway mail and you put that in there. Do the same with Microsoft accounts. It's not like Microsoft force you to use your real name and address. I have computers at work that use a generic fucking Microsoft account that's tethered to like a random throwaway Gmail with some person that just invented in my head. Because all they want is just you to log in. And why? Because then when you reinstall Windows, and if you have it backed up, it can set up your computer for you. It will remember your programs you install and all of that fucking shit. So it basically makes it setting up your computer way faster and more convenient. You can sync notes if you're running. We have anything on this here. But like the sticky notes, what are they called? Sticky notes? Yeah, sticky notes on Windows. If you know, they are shareable on all your on your accounts on all devices. So if you put in, remember to pick up skim milk, no matter what computer you logged in on, that will be in the sticky note, for example. Which is actually useful. There's a lot of useful things that comes with having an account on any platform like YouTube or Microsoft. If you don't want to use your real name, don't. Like, I don't know why, again, these people here, like the grumpy system administrator, like, why the fuck are they making this big deal out of having a YouTube, or sorry, not a YouTube, a Microsoft account, when there is billions of ways of circumventing it? Not even can you make, I will get into this in a bit, like you can make ISOs, but you don't need to do it. You can enable offline accounts that IT professionals use. But you can also just make a fucking random account. And here's the thing. You log in. I do this on my work computer here. You go into OneDrive and you tell it not to back anything up, and it won't back anything. It won't back up your folders. It won't back up your search history. It won't back anything up. Trust me, I tried it. Why the fuck? Apparently, IT professionals are leaving that out. They're not telling you that. And another thing here is, use NT Lite, download the Windows ISO. This is basically just a front end for what people do with Azure or via scripting, unintended install scripting and stuff like that. You can take away you can customize Windows almost as much as any Linux distribution. I'm not joking here. If you don't believe me, download this tool and look into, or you can even pre-install drivers for set computers. I had to do that at work. We got some Lenovo laptops, and I always use my own personal made ISO because it takes away a lot of the shit I don't like about Microsoft. Copilot, AI, telemetry, all of that fucking shit that this program takes away. I do this once, twice a year. And it also installs onto the ISO the latest updates. So you don't have to sit and wait for updates after updates after updates. Back to the story again. The SSN or NVMe I put into that computer needed a fucking driver that I didn't have on this ISO, because it was one I made. I didn't foresee that some NVMe's actually required fucking drivers, because I thought Windows had them all, but apparently they don't. So I had to download that driver and install it during the installation to see the NVMe. Made an ISO that then now have that driver pre-installed. So now the ISO see those NVMe's for that manufacturer. This is a super powerful tool. Why do the so-called Windows expert on YouTube not talk about this. This is a free tool. And with the free model, you can also pay for it and get even more fucking free. Like, if you pay for it, you can customize it almost as much as the Penguin OS, okay? Maybe 98% as much as the Penguin OS. You can't change the desktop environment. But almost anything else you can do. You can pre-install shit. I have a video about this. You can go watch that down below. The free version, if you are a hobbyist, it's way you don't need anything. That can take away all this bullshit you don't like from Microsoft. Copilot, AI, allow you to do local accounts. You enable that. It's just a tick button. You know, you disable Microsoft account. You can disable TPM, RAM check, CPU check. Using this tool, I installed Windows on 6th gen CPUs with like 4 gig of RAM. Which it should never run on. It runs a little bit janky, don't get me wrong, it's not like the best experience, but it runs. Why are the so-called Windows experts on YouTube not fucking saying this? If you don't want to go that deep into it, use Rufus. As far as I know, it can still take away the TPM, the CPU and RAM requirements, and enable offline account. All of this is what people do already with Azure. This is how professionals do it when they are deploying Windows installs or Windows updates via Azure. They do what this tool can do. They just do it on Azure or via script. It's really not that difficult. It's really not that like, this is something like you learn in like 101 fucking Windows administration if you go to school for it. How often do you see these kind of videos? I know I'm herbing a lot of this guy. He's a cool dude. He makes a lot of good content. But how often do you see people like him make a video criticizing Windows for all of these bad things and not giving you a solution? Almost all the time. How often do you see a lot of people on Mac and Linux criticizing Windows and their solution is move to Mac or Linux? A lot of people don't want to move to Mac and Linux. They just don't want to. And there is plenty of valid reasons why they don't want to do that. You may not think it's valid, but it is valid reason. If someone has a reason they don't like Windows Linux and Mac, it's a valid fucking reason. Not everyone has to run the same OS. It's stupid to think that. It's the lowest IQ thinking to think like that. And then you're like, okay, these OSs that I really like is not for you. Let me introduce you to this. Let me or pay me to make a custom ISO for you. What about that, baby? Give me a few dollars. Heck, you could probably even get $100 to make a custom ISO for someone. And be like, here you go. We have helped you out. And this happens every year, every time there is an end of life. Many of you probably can't remember when Windows XP got end of life, but it was like people on YouTube, they were like, the earth, the world is going to explode. Because there still is to this day, to be honest, a lot of XP computers out in the wild. And a lot of people did not like Windows 7. Too bloated, too big system requirements, too big security requirements, too much telemetry, too much data collect. But they did it anyway. Because the people that know how to fucking run Windows and know what they're doing with Windows, IT professionals, they've already prepared for Windows 10 end of life. And for some, that is, just use it anyway, baby. Or for some, it's like, let's make a custom ISO Windows 11. For some, it's moving to Linux. For some, it's moving to Mac OS. But if you think, like these people here, it's like, billions of computers are getting used this overnight. If you think that is how the real world works, that it's just like, oh, well, end of life, that's totally on the landfill. That's not how it fucking works. That's not how it works. They have prepared for this probably a year or two in advance. And if they need it, if they are going to upgrade, it's probably hardware that needed upgrading anyway because it's getting slow in the tooth, using too much resources, it's too slow, it don't support a lot of the new protocols that a lot of people want to use. And here's the thing, they don't throw it on the landfill, they either resell it or sell it to a company that sells old hardware. You rarely see someone land, like, anything, this is not just computers, but almost anything that has to do with tech today, rarely just, oh, I don't use it anymore, let's throw it out. Unless it's like, at least not for companies, but I can see a private person doing that a lot. Or I will just set it on a shelf like I do for like 10 years before I give it to someone or something like that. People rarely throw shit out. It's companies especially rarely throw shit out. They give it to thrift stores or companies that resell old hardware, refurbishing companies. Or, like a lot of them do, they send it off to third world countries. Where, for them, this is like this is like getting the latest supercomputer. They don't say this here. Again, it's not like him specifically I'm harping on, but those people that make these like, oh my god, millions of computers are getting used to... No, they're getting repurposed for some. They're getting repurposed as Linux computers. They're getting repurposed even with Windows 10, maybe even a slower OS on it. Sent to a third world country where they probably don't even have internet, so it don't fucking matter how unsecure they are. But they can run software on it, that they need, coding software, and so they can learn to code. They can run Office software, so they can learn how to use that. Or they're reselling it to an older, elderly person, or someone that just needs like a hobby computer, and then they install Linux on it, or they just want whatever fucking OS is on it, and don't do any, like they don't do much on, if at all, online banking, or any sensitive stuff with their computer other than going on Facebook and watching their grandkids or their family members getting a fucking dig in of ice. They rarely just end up on a landfill unless they are just unusable. And according, at least in EU, there are rules about how to dispose of electronics. You have to take it apart, put it in special bins so it can be repurposed, remelted down, recycled. So even if it's go on the landfill, it rarely just go in and being burned up into the ether. They don't talk about that either. Does it suck that your 15-year-old computer don't run Windows 11 natively? Yes, but you can get it to run Windows 11 if you want to. And here's the thing, just run Windows 10. If you're not going and doing dubious fucking devious shit, if you are somewhat like knowledgeable about not clicking random shit on oh, there is a bar, let me click that bar. Oh, it's telling me I'm getting $2,000 if I click this download Ubuntu thing, let me do that thing. If you don't, don't click those kind of things, you could probably still run Windows 10, even if it's not getting security updates. Because people don't really care much about your personal computer anymore. What people really want to hack are servers. YouTube servers, Google servers, Microsoft servers. Entra just had a massive breach, by the way. Stuff like that. Why is that? Well, I can spend 10 hours trying to hack your personal computer and get your personal data. Or I can spend 10 hours hacking a Meta server, Google server, Red Hat server, and get thousands of accounts data or access to them. What is more important? Hacking, or what is more fruitful? Hacking Instagram servers, and get access to thousands of accounts I can fish other people and get money from and see all kind of crazy pictures, or hack your account where you have like a little bit of unsavory photo of you in a board suit with a hat on in Ibiza while you are high on Molly. Yeah, unless you're like the CEO of Microsoft, I won't even fucking bother. Unless you're opening the door for me and says, hey, come in, there's no firewall, there's no password. If you're opening all the doors, I'm going in. That's how these kind of people think. But if you just have a simple fucking like firewall up, most of them like, we're not even going to fucking mess with that. Because it's one person's fucking data we're getting here. It's one person. Don't believe all of this bullshit going on with Windows. The end of life of Windows. I will bet, I don't know what I should bet, but I will make a wager that when Windows 11 or when Windows 12 come out, or whatever the fuck they're calling, maybe they're skipping 12 and going to 14 because equal numbers, or they don't like equal numbers, maybe they're doing 13. Oh, 13 is not a good number, so they're going 19 or something like that. Or they're just calling it the Windows, so I don't fucking know. When that comes out, I'm sticking with Windows 11 and stuff like that, and then the more people do with that new version of Windows, oh no, Windows 11 is the best one, so fucking good, and trust me, it's going to happen. It has happened for over 30 years. And every time, and then when Windows 11 is going end of life, you will see videos like this, that are criticizing new Windows version number updates, and you will see Linux people making videos about, now you should run Linux because Windows 11 is going end of life, and you will see Windows channel fear-mongering you into think that millions of your computers are useless because Windows 11 is going end of life. This has happened on YouTube ever since people start doing tech content on YouTube. And we are still here today. The world is still a Microsoft world, sadly enough. A Windows world, sadly enough. So that's why me personally, when I see someone make content like this, I just disregard them right away. Because this looks like, again, not this person specifically, but people that make this kind of content and they do it all the time, it's all about the views. Because they don't give you solutions, and if they do give you solutions, it's just move OS. A lot of people don't want to just move OS. They can't, for a lot of reasons. They should not do it if they don't want to. And then it's just like, oh, well, then your computer's ending up on a landfill, or blah, you were fucked from every second way from Friday to Sunday, and all these kind of fucking weird things. They're fear-mongering the living shit out of you. If you see a channel that spend a lot of time burping on Microsoft data collection, Microsoft accounts, bad Windows, bad Microsoft, while they're on YouTube, they use Slack, they have Red Hat accounts, blah, all of these things, don't take them seriously. They probably don't know what they're talking about. And if they do, they are massively misleading you on purpose. This is not that big of a deal. And in the good old tech world, there will be a time where something is old and you need new. Just how it is. You are not 18 forever, my friend. I still think I am, but I'm not. Something will get obsolete. And in the tech world, it happens faster than we would like. Just be happy you didn't live in the 90s. Where if you bought a computer, the second you took it out of the fucking box, it lost 50% of its value. And next year, you could probably not even fucking run most of the software that came out that year. Because you have to spend hundreds of dollars upgrading hardware components. Just be happy that you can actually run the same computer for 10 years. Up till about the 10s, that didn't happen. If you didn't upgrade every 2 to 3 years on computing, you could not run the latest software. Now that we can run run the same hardware, and run current software for 5-10 years, it's a massive improvement, people. Like, it's a massive improvement. But at some point, it's going to be obsolete. We are not making 16 or 8-bit software anymore. There probably are some out there doing it. But it's regarded as obsolete. Things get obsolete in this world. We get obsolete as a human. Your education, if you don't keep educating yourself, will be obsolete because you are stuck 20, 30 years back in time. And there's no use for the skills that you needed 20, 30 years time. They need the skills that they need today. I see this a little bit of a side note here in coding. There are people out there that know like Fortran and Pascal and stuff. They're like, we should do that still, and Ruby and all that fucking. Nobody gives a fuck anymore. It's all Python, JavaScripting, C#, C++, Dart, Flutter, all of these things. And if you're not in that world, you are obsolete. You can't sit there and say, I only want to code in Pascal. Then you are obsolete. It sucks, but it's how the world works. One day, we are going to perish from this world. We are obsolete. We have been here. We have been peak human, whatever peak human is at one point, getting older. And we need to make room for the new generation so they can learn from us, hopefully, and then peak humanity even better. And then they get old and their children takes over, peaking humanity to a higher peak, hopefully, and die out. It's like that with everything, people. And the thing with Windows end of life is like, oh my god, you are going to not be here anymore. You're going to be 6 feet underground in a casket or urn. Holy fucking shit. You are going to be put on a landfill, more or less. That's basically what they're doing. And you'll be like, dude, yeah, I know that. I'm fucking 90 years old. I may have, like, if I'm fucking lucky, I have, like, 10 years. Maybe not 10 good years, but if I'm really lucky, I would have, like, 2 or 3 good years, and I would be like, oh. Dude, I know. You get what I'm coming at here. But for some reason, Windows or Microsoft is just like super narrow target focus that a lot of tech people have. And again, I'm not saying Microsoft is a good company. I'm not saying Windows is a good OS. But it's like you see 100 people breaking into a mall. And then you see Bob. I don't like Bob. Too fucking handsome. What's going on with Bob? Too jacked out. Don't like him. Let's prosecute him. Let's focus on Bob. Bob, you can't steal. You bad person. Don't do that. And while millions of other people are fucking stealing everything behind you and taking shoes and clothes, but you're like, Bob, we need to have a talk, my friend. We can't do that. No. Bad Bob. And you're not seeing all the shit going on behind you. That's how the tech world has become when it comes to Microsoft. We are just blatantly disregarding. Oh, I closed Discord. All of these other Discord is one of the worst ones, to be honest. But we are blatantly just disregarding. It will come up once in a while, like, okay, Bob has behaved for like 6 months. Josephine. Nah, Josephine, you're looking too much like Bob. Can't be that. Remember, we are not Bobs. And Josephine's like, yeah. And then Bob do something bad. Bob, see, I told you you're a bad person. And then Josephine just go and do whatever Bob did anyway. That is the world that we are in the tech world right now. Microsoft have just taken the focus, and everyone else, Discord, Facebook, anyone else is just, go after Microsoft all you want, because then we can do worse shit than Microsoft. And all of the ones that, maybe not Ubuntu and Red Hat, but everyone else that showed Google, Microsoft wants to be Google. Because Google does everything better than Microsoft does. Like, Microsoft is not doing data collection, telemetry, and all this thing as good as Google does. And Android does. They want to be like them. So we are going after the kid that's imitating the baddest person on the playground, but we still only focus on the one that wants to be the baddest person, not the baddest person. Why is that? And there's a lot of, I can tell you a lot of things why that is, and that's because Google gives you a lot of conveniences. A lot of free shit. Gives you Android, it's Linux, so we can't say too bad about it. YouTube, you can use that for free. You know, all of the, it gave us all of these conveniences. Google, uncategorically, is making our life more convenient. But for what price? We are paying a higher price by using Google product than being running Windows, even with a Windows account. Let's focus on Windows. Anyway, I hope this was a little bit interesting. I don't even know what to call this video, to be honest. But don't take those channels too seriously, okay? For me, it looks like they're just doing it for the views. Because they're not giving you any real solutions. And there are plenty of solutions, from moving OS to customizing your ISO or just sticking with Windows 10. You are not going to get fucking hacked by NSA if you don't. Or if you stick with Windows 10. Every fucking Indian scam caller or wherever the fuck they are in the world is not going to call you when Windows 10 reaches end of life, okay? Not going to happen. See you all later. Bye-bye.